is. It's cool shirt. Set shirts. And my t-shirt is from Wildbird Art, the pilot that makes furniture out of airplane parts. There we go. And Tyler, what are you wearing? Are you wearing pants?
Can you tell? No?
I'm
wearing enough.
And there you go.
Michael, are you rich? Because Lara thinks you're rich.
I did not say. I said I think he's high up in his company is what I said.
Oh, maybe that's what she said.
Not
He's
rich.
a bigwig.
No, not a bigwig. I am in healthcare administration, but I am not a bigwig. I just oversee some teammates, and I have kids in hockey and figure skating. So that means I'm just inherently poor.
I did tell him you were a bigwig. That's exactly the word I used too. He's right. I did say that.
Yeah, I do have teammates that report to me. There's lots of levels above me for sure.
I have teammates I tell to report to me, but they don't because they're not supposed to.
No, that's funny. You're like, yeah, you use that seniority badge, right?
Yeah, go do this. Go do this.
All standby passengers, see me at the podium for your seat assignment.
Non-Rev Lounge is a travel and aviation podcast. Monique, Lara, and Tyler are three friends that work for a major airline as gate agent, flight attendant, and ramp worker. During this podcast, they will discuss using their flight benefits to travel the world, as well as talk about things that happen at work. They have guests on almost every week to share their travels and stories, leaving tips on the best places to travel or things to do. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Non-Rev Lounge. I'm Tyler.
I'm Monique. I'm Lara.
And I'm Michael.
And today we have Micah with us. We've mentioned you a few times on the podcast. You are a very loyal supporter and listener of our show.
He's a first
And
day
you're
listener.
always nice.
He's a first
Yeah,
day.
even when you probably don't need to be, you're always very nice and polite about our shows. So thank you. Did we meet at Dorkfest last year? Was that the first time? I wanted when you picked me up at the airport when I came through. That's right.
Yeah,
He's
you were
good at
flying
that.
through. Yeah, you were trying to earn your Hyatt nights, and you said you're coming to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I said, I work within a mile of the airport, so let me pick you up. And that's the first time we met.
Yeah, because you took a video of me taking off out of Charlotte a year and a half ago, I think it was, and then last year I was through. So that was a lot of fun just to go out there and take pictures and to meet you. And then we met up again at Swati LAX Dorks Fest, and you're busy because you're not working it, but you're working. That's a work trip for you almost.
It is.
Because you work with airline videos.
Yeah, I'm a moderator with Airline Videos Live. I've been a moderator for 4 years, and it's just the best because I get to interact with a lot of aviation fans from across the world and really bolster my knowledge about aviation and, get to experience things like Phoenix and other airports like LAX where, I don't get to experience that in a person a lot of times, so I get to see it from afar.
So real quick, you don't work in the industry, right? You work in the medical industry?
Yeah, so I'm in healthcare. I do not work in the industry, but I enjoy aviation. I've been in plane spotting for over 30 years, my original airport being up in Baltimore at BWI, and then now I live outside of Charlotte, and that is my home airport for spotting and everything else, where all trips originate from.
That's right.
Oh, can you tell us, how did you get into aviation? Like, how did that love of aviation start?
It started as a kid. My dad liked going to the airport. We used to take, they would go on trips, and this is pre 9/11. So we would always go there. My mom would fly out to visit cousins or whatever. And we would go to the gates when you could. And I'd look at the planes and try to figure out what they were. And then there's spotting parks, not as nice as the one in Charlotte in the BWI area. Though they are stepping their game up there now after I left. And I would just go there when I was old enough to, watch planes come in, take off. We get a wide variety of planes there that, I've never seen before. And then when I moved to Charlotte, I found out they have an overlook. So then I came down to Charlotte. When I came to Charlotte, I went to the overlook. It was very simplistic at first, just a couple benches and close to a runway. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, they started tearing that one down and built a brand new one that they opened up. I think Tyler, you probably were there, was in the first couple of weeks of it opening, where it provides fun for the kids, kind of lets your kids take care of business while you take care of business when it comes to taking pictures and watching runways. We get, we're close enough to the left runways now, or depending on which way traffic's flowing, which we couldn't see at the old overlook. So you get a lot of different views, and we're in the process of watching them build a brand new runway too. So we're able to see that as well. So it was pretty it's a pretty great experience. And that just keeps increasing my love for it.
And for those of you that are listening, you heard that I went to Charlotte's Aviation Day, and this is Michael who picked me up and took me to the Overlook and invited me, and you invited me. So it was fun. It was a great day.
It was. We had a great turnout. It was good weather, a lot of good variety coming in. We had some really unique helicopters flying overhead. It just kind of like it was all set up and perfect for the day.
It was nice. And I met some really great young plane spotters.
Yes. And you met my son as well. So he,
I love Lucas.
He still talks about it.
Oh, it was fun. Good. I'm glad. And he was so cute wearing his wings.
Yeah. He wore them to school and told his teacher that he actually flies the planes. So
well, from his lips to God's ears.
I hope so. Daddy needs some flight benefits.
Yeah.
Lara, are you a mom of a plane spotter, or how do you fit in?
Oh. You were you there, Michael, when that kid asked me that?
I was. That was hilarious.
Your mom of a plane spotter?
Well,
to be fair, I
didn't
have a camera.
Oh, so you're like when creepy men just go to a playground, but they don't have kids there?
They look like a mom. Not like Tyler when he brings his camera and he has to bring that really big lens that he's compensating for. Oh, dang.
Yeah. So Monique, you said something this last week, and it reminded me when I was with Michael, but you said when you saw London push back, you got excited. Remember that?
Yeah, because I was flying up to Salt Lake and I was just sitting in the club and it pushed back and I was like, oh, there it is. There's London. And then I was like, I wonder if anyone else gets as excited as like we do about things like that.
I mean, I know I for sure do, because when they are on 36 operations, they're taking off to the north, all the big heavies that go to London, Madrid, Munich, they fly right over my house around 7,000 to 8,000 feet. And I run outside and I have to just see which one is going. My wife actually makes fun of me for it, but I don't care. I just got to know where they're going and see them up close.
That's really cool. Hey, when you went to Dorffest and I see you're wearing your Spot LAX t-shirt, did you get to meet Jet Set Shirts?
I did. One of the first people I met. And he's Eric. He's great. We were following each other on Insta for a while. So I would comment on his things because he's always flying out of Minneapolis. And then I finally got to meet him. I've purchased a couple shirts, including this one. And then I got a couple more that I want to get. There's a 757 and 767 one I want to try to purchase.
He's got it. Yeah, he's got that new one out now.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered it in orange. Well, you can't order it yet, but I just DM'd him. I said, I want orange.
Yeah, it's great. He has really unique shirts. And, you kind of have to be an insider or nav geek, if you will, to understand what some of them are. But nonetheless, I just enjoy wearing them everywhere I go.
It's great.
Yeah, some of them are kind of witty, just like a little subtle. But if you get them. So that's funny. So even though you don't have non-air benefits, you did a big trip recently that I enjoyed following. I think all of us kind of saw your stuff. So we want you to talk about that a little bit. I remember when you started planning it, because that was kind of a fun story too. I don't think Lara remembers that far back because it was a few months ago. But how did you pick where you're going, and then where'd you go, and then tell us some of the highlights. So you went to Europe, right? So how did you guys pick that?
Yeah, so I wanted to take my kids to Europe. I went to Europe for a wedding in Poland back in August, and we went without the kids, of course. I went to Germany, went to Austria, and we said, you know what, we got to quit doing this. We got to take our kids, because the year before that, we went to Italy with some friends, and the kids need that experience, right? So we saw a trend on Instagram where people were having the family select where they're going. So what we did was we took a piece of paper, everybody had a little slip of paper, they wrote down where they wanted to go, they put it in a bowl, and then we started working our way around the table. And the first person that picked would say, we are not going to this place.
Oh,
Next
okay.
person would say, we're not going to this place. And it's 6 of us, so there's 6 of us doing that. So the last person would then select the last piece of paper that's there and say, we are going to, and it was Germany, which was also my slip, and everybody thinks it's fixed because I wanted to go to Germany. Because, we had selections like Iceland, Paris, Alaskan cruise, things like that. So, and Germany won. My son also put Germany, but everybody thinks I also pushed him to say Germany. But nonetheless, that's how we ended up with Germany. And then that's when the planning started, right then and there. No no benefits. So we're paying to play here. I started jumping on, trying to figure out, do we do a summer Or do we do spring? Like, how do we get everybody there? It's 6 of us, so that can be quite pricey. We fly out of Charlotte, so that is a American hub for us. So not a lot of selection unless we take something as a connection through a bigger hub like Washington, New York, or wherever the case may be. And we chose found an American flight direct to Munich. We wanted to go to Bavaria. I have family that, that's where a lot of the family came from eons ago. So let's go back and visit there. And we found a flight for base fare, $122 per person round trip. But but all the fees turned it into $600 per person. So, which is still not bad round trip. I mean, granted, we are in economy, but flying to Munich, like flying into London Heathrow with all the fees, it's very expensive. There's a reason why like Wizz Air, Ryanair doesn't fly into Munich. And it's because of just the fees are just astronomical flying into Munich. But we wanted to fly to Munich again, and we also we had my in-laws join us. And I think the total for 8 tickets was less than $5,000. So we were pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
So that's how we got
when you were
go ahead.
When you were doing your deciding, did you say you can write something down, but it has to be within limits? Because at certain places would be a lot more money. I mean, I'm sure Germany, it's still taking a family of 6 was pricey, but did you say like no Maldives or no Asia, or was there a certain kind of, or you just kind of said whatever you want to put on, we'll do?
Yeah, so hindsight's 2020 on that, and I got lucky this time, and we will do that because my son Lucas told me that he's putting Bora Bora next time, and I'm like, no, you're not. We do have to be smart about it. If someone puts like Korea or Taiwan, I would probably consider it, but some of those like Maldives and others could be. First of all, take a long time to get there. Second of all, it could be tens of thousands of dollars in airfare just to get there, because again, I am paying to get us there full price pretty much. So we decided because of that price, we are going to go we decided to go in the spring during spring break, and we made it a 10-day trip. So they missed 1 day of school, but we left like on a Thursday, came back the next Sunday. And that's how we got that price. If we tried to fly in the middle of summertime, it would have been almost double that price for us to get there. So
10
we had
days
to
and only
compromise.
missing 1 day of school. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, because our kids have spring break early in the year. So they have it in early March. That's not wrapped around the Easter holiday like it is right now, because they start in early August. They have early spring break. So it pays off because now we're traveling during a non-peak time.
Well, the non-rev lounge advocates missing school for our children as they will be learning wherever they're at.
That's good. And they learned a lot. I mean, we definitely took an opportunity to fill out a educational form for school so we can get that 1 day they missed as an excused absence. Because it's not so we can do that. And we just had to say what we were doing, which then, we spent that Friday after flying in, which I don't want to jump too far ahead because I'll talk about a little bit more about the planning, but we spent at the Dachau Concentration Camp. So they got to learn about history and they accepted it as an excused absence.
First thing you did, I don't want to jump the gun either, but.
So thinking about planning. So the hard part was getting us there, right? So then we started to look into the opportunity for some hotels. I have a credit card that has points, so we utilize some of those points, but I use booking.com a lot in Europe. I use it a lot in Europe because I can find a lot of good deals there. We use that. I've learned that because of the popularity of mass transit and the ease of mass transit, I try not to go into areas like Old City, because you're going to pay a lot of money per night there, or use a lot of points per night to stay in Old City, Munich, because that's where everything is. All, the Marienplatz, the chapels and things like that. So I stay in the Sendling district, which is kind of southeast of that area, and you can just hop on the S-Bahn or take an Uber or whatever to get up there. But the Sendling district is price conscious. It's a nice area. It's kind of artsy, which is nice to give some culture for the kids when we were there. It's also a pretty neat deal because it's essentially, it holds 4. So we needed 2 rooms. So I'm paying double the price for rooms or using double the points. And so my in-laws were kind of helpful there, where they took 2 of the kids and we took 2 of the kids, and we had enough room for everybody. And we were right in the middle of everything. And with a subway station or S-Bahn station right up the street from us, so we could hop on and go anywhere in the city, all the way up to the airport if we wanted to.
Smart.
That is
Yeah.
nice.
We also chose a settling district because it was south, and a lot of what we were doing was going to be south of Munich. So we kind of positioned ourselves there too, so that we'd have access to the autobahns and reduce some of the traffic time, trying to work our way through Munich to get south. So it kind of worked out. We also had a van. I rented a van for 8 of us, but it parked a lot. That was more for getting between major cities and also getting up to areas like Dachau, just because it was a little bit quicker and easier with family members who've never really used public transportation. We just found it was a little bit easier that way. When it's just my wife and I, will utilize that public transportation a little bit more.
So you had 8 of you total because you had your in-laws also.
Yeah.
So was it really expensive finding a van big enough to get everyone?
No, it was not, because we're off peak. It saved us probably
Okay.
about $1,300 being off peak.
Oh,
So, but the van was huge. It did 8 of us plus all of our luggage with no problem. It was a diesel, so it got great fuel mileage, and only had to fill it up once, which is great because the fuel's pretty expensive. That's why mass transit is so popular there.
hey, so
When you were
how
going
many?
100,
I just
Sorry.
want to know how many female teenagers he has, or even tweens.
So I have 2 15-year-olds and all their stuff, and then I have a 10-year-old who's a girl, and then a little Lucas. He's the boy.
5. He's
So-
cute.
My in-laws, for being not world travelers, they sure were able to figure out how to pack light. So that helped us out. And then the rest of us were kind of packing heavy, which is odd. Like usually it's the opposite. The newbies will pack heavy, but they did a really good job not doing that, which helped us out a lot on the space too.
I'm just laughing at all the girl. I'm sure, I'm from when my daughter was that age, so much luggage.
Oh yeah. I mean, they wanted to bring everything, so we had to start limiting, and they actually listened. They did a really good job. They packed pretty light. When we went on like a family cruise last January, 2024, and they overpacked big time for that. And we had small staterooms, and it was just way too much. So they learned the hard way on that one and did a good job responding to kind of what we needed to make our way through Europe, because, pulling heavy suitcases on cobblestone just really doesn't do well.
Wait, you mean like if I was like pulling a heavy suitcase full of like podcast equipment through like Amsterdam and stuff, and yet we weren't podcasting? Is that what you're talking about? Stuff like that? Because
Potentially,
somebody
yeah.
didn't have a passport with the expiration date wasn't correct on that.
I want to know, how much did the van shake when you were going 100 miles an hour on the Autobahn?
It didn't shake. It just made a lot of wind noise, and it maxed out. We had a lot of people, and it was a small engine and a big van, and we weighed a lot. So I wasn't blowing anybody away on the Autobahn. I spent most of my time in the right lane.
Did you have a hard time finding places to park it? I feel like in Europe, everything is,
I did. So planning, some of it was understanding how big of a van we could get and making sure it had parking garages that could manage it. And unfortunately, the hotel that we had in Zurich did not have a parking garage. So they just let me park it out front. They were very forgiving when it came to that.
oh, good.
Well, that's good, because Zurich, there's a lot of, it's all pricey.
Yes, it was.
Our friends Chris and Shauna, when they were on that podcast, they gave one of the best tips I've ever heard. And I give this tip to everybody that's driving over Europe, is to set a pin where you park your car, because every rental car looks the same. So they said, set a pin where you left it. And I thought, oh, such a good tip.
Yeah, that's
A
a huge
van
tip.
you can find, but I mean, a little rental car, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were just a behemoth, and we definitely looked like we were tourists for sure. I mean, just by the van we were driving, but I did try to plan for that, knowing that we were going to do it. And the first hotel we had in Munich did accommodate, but our van was 2 meters 5, and the parking garages everywhere else was 2 meters flat. So I would have not made it in there. So we just had to
Wow.
find, yeah. That's because everything's small there, right? I mean, there's no, there's SUVs, but there's not like these monster Tahoes or, start naming some large SUVs. They don't have those there. They have small ones like your Volkswagen Tiguan's and Toyotas and everything else like that, which is small, but it was interesting. Like trying to park it in parking garages when I did find spaces, I usually had to have somebody jump out, make sure I wasn't going to hit anybody as I was pulling in.
So I've never been to Munich. Lara, have you? Did you go there when you lived there or visit?
Yes, but I was small. It's for
Okay.
my parents, when they got divorced when I was 5, and my mom moved just to a little town outside of Munich called Eistetten. So I was small. I was only 5. So
And Monique, you haven't been, right?
No, I've never been.
So how long were you in Munich, and what was the things that kind of stood out? What should we do if we go there?
Yeah, so we did the touristy things, right? We went to the Marienplatz the first day. Or actually, we went to Dachau the first day, which, we needed to kind of bring the kids through that to understand the history. Again, if you don't know the history, we could repeat it, right? So I wanted them to walk through that. It's sad, but we wanted them to understand what can happen. And then we are also using that opportunity to kill some time, right? Because we couldn't get into our hotel till 3 p.m. Munich time anyway. And we landed at 7:45 in the morning. So we had some time. Yeah. So we had some time to kill. So let's go, just kind of knock this out. Let's get the sad thing done first. And then the rest of the trip is straight uphill after that with excitement. So we did go to Dachau and then went home.
How far is that, going from Munich to Dachau?
Oh, so from the airport, it's 47 minutes.
Quick.
So we just drove right there. I was nervous because we had all of our luggage and we didn't want to, we were afraid, again, will somebody break in, take our luggage, things like that. But you're in a paid parking lot. There was a guard out front, and I say guard, like someone who takes the money. But still, you got to kind of pay to get in there. It's a small town / city. So it's kind of in the suburbs of Munich. So I wasn't too worried about it. We were there for a couple hours, came out, had a little bit of lunch there. And then we went down and were able to check in early. But the hotel, which is what was called the Wunderloch, was 45 minutes from Dachau. So we had a bit of a drive. We wanted to kind of get there before rush hour because they do have rush hour there. And we got there and crashed for the rest of the night. That's probably the only time my son's ever slept 12 hours straight because we were exhausted. Because our flight over was, left at 4:30 that night. The night before, we landed at 7 a.m., which is essentially 1 o'clock our time here on the East Coast. And he was awake all but 1 hour of the flight. So he was ready to sleep. I was ready to sleep. Everybody was ready to sleep. So we slept. The next day we woke up. It was like 11 o'clock-ish their time. Got a little breakfast. There's a great bakery right up the street from where we were staying called the Allmiller. And we got a breakfast, hopped in the car, drove up to the Marienplatz. So that's where the old city hall is, where the Glockenspiel is. So
that's very famous.
The old city hall, new city hall. There's lots of shopping. My kids bought clothes. We made a whole day of it. There was, we didn't spend as much time in the Marienplatz as I'd like, the actual square, because there was some protests going on at the time. So we were just a little bit nervous about being in there, but we did we wanted to go up. There's a beautiful library there that we've heard about, never been in, because every time we go there, it's closed. And on Saturdays, it's closed as well. I am going to go back one day and look in that library because apparently it's amazing.
Still didn't get in. We did go, but we walked all around there. My wife collects these Starbucks cups with different cities' names on it. We wanted one that said Munich or Germany. And so we had to go find a Starbucks, found the Starbucks, bought that. But then we just walked around and really enjoyed the weather. It was, for March in Germany, it was 60s. We were overdressed because we brought nothing but long sleeves and pants. But it was, it was a good day. Next day we did go we hopped on the Deutsche Bahn train and we went and took that down to Salzburg, Austria for the day trip. We turned it into added an extra country for the girls and the kids to enjoy, and my in-laws. So we went down there, had a guided tour through Viator, and we did a guided tour down to music. We went to the Mirabell Palace, which a lot of the Sound of Music was recorded at. We went to the old city. We visited Mozart's birthplace. We went to the Tomasello, where Mozart used to eat breakfast. There's beautiful churches there. Unfortunately, though, at March, all the fountains were shut down and covered because it's still theoretically supposed to be cold. So they didn't get to experience those like we did when I was there in August, but just got to really enjoy the culture there. We have to say the guide we had was amazing. She knew everything about the city. We went up into the fortress that they have there, and it was you take a train kind of backwards up the hill to get to the fortress, or you can walk, but it's awful.
Yeah, no.
So we took the train, and then the girls went up there, and then I kept Lucas busy while they did that. We went through a really old cemetery that they have right in the middle of the old city there while they went up there, and it got to experience that. And then our final day in Munich actually wasn't in Munich, which would be that Monday that after we got there, we went down to Lucerne and we went to the Neuschwanstein Castle, which is the castle that Walt Disney used to model for Disney World.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was a great experience. It was cold. It was supposed to be raining, and it did rain in the morning, but the rain kind of stopped, but it was definitely cold. But we got to go and walk through. There's a guided tour that you pay for, but it's by time. And Germans are very particular about their time. We were 5 minutes late, and we had to reschedule our tour. Just because we lost time waiting for the shuttle to get up the hill, because it's a pretty straight uphill from where the park cars are, or the car park is. And then when we got there, it's also a 25-minute-ish walk straight uphill once you get off the bus to get there.
Oh, wow.
So unfortunately, we were like 5 minutes late. Not a big deal. They said, okay, you'll just catch the 10:15 instead of the 10 o'clock. And you walk through, get the, it's a headphone. You have headphones. The person's walking you around just to make sure you don't break away from where you're supposed to be. And it probably lasts somewhere about 20 to 25 minutes. And then we went into a bridge to take the iconic picture of the Neuschwanstein Castle from afar. And that is one that we have probably going to turn into a print for a wall at some point, because it's just so beautiful. And then we went into Fussen for a little bit, but unfortunately on a Monday in Germany, everything's pretty much closed on Mondays. So unfortunately we had the Neuschwanstein Castle only, which is open. But when we went into Fussen, there wasn't much to do. So we just kind of turned around, went back to Munich, got some food, went to the Lidl to get some water and things for our next adventure, which was driving down to Switzerland. My wife, when we were planning this, said, I want to go someplace we've never been before. I've never been to Switzerland. She's never been. So we decided to go to Switzerland, and we chose Zurich as our initial landing spot.
how long did it take to drive from Munich to Zurich?
About 3.5 hours.
Oh, that's nothing.
No, that's what I love about Europe, is that, when you think about going country to country in the United States or even some other areas, you're talking, Texas can take you 2 days just to drive through Texas. But instead, we went out of Munich into Austria into Switzerland, and then took it right into Zurich. And Zurich is a cool town. Very interesting driving. You're driving with all the cable cars or the trolleys and trying to make sure you're not getting in their way. And we actually stayed in the Green City portion, which is east of the main city, east of the lake. That's right in the middle of Zurich, because of price. And also the hotel offered a room that had a double bed essentially, and then 4 bunk beds. So we could fit all of our kids. We could fit all of our kids in there.
Yeah.
So we chose there. That was the hotel that I had to park the van out front, which is okay. And what's nice about it, you're right in front of the hotel. The S4 train is there, and you can hop on the S4 and take it right into the old city of Zurich, like Bellevue, where we had dinner the first night at the Stern and Grill. And it just makes it easy to get in and out. You hop on a trolley, you can go around. It just they're really built for mass transit there, and we really enjoyed it.
Did you need to purchase a travel card, or could you just tap your credit card?
Well, you had to purchase a travel card, and it's good for 24 hours. So you pay one price, and it's good for the train. It's good for the trolley. Anything mass transit wise, it was good. Or you can, I don't know. I didn't try it, so I don't want to say that you can buy a single trip, but I don't think. Why would you just buy the whole thing? So yeah. So the first night we got there, we went up to Bellevue. We called the Bellevue Plots and did some shopping. It started to rain on us, unfortunately, so we tried to stay inside a little bit. We got to see some beautiful architecture. The lake was amazing. There were swans everywhere. The kids just couldn't get enough of the swans. Mm. It was we could see the mountains, the Alps in the background. It was really nice. And again, the Green City, which is where we stayed, was probably maybe a 20-minute drive if you were to drive from there. And so it wasn't too bad. Then we decided on the next day, we went to the Lint factory. So the chocolate factory where all the lint is made, all the Lint chocolates for the most part are made. We paid for a tour to go there. And when you first walk in, they have this huge, what looks like a chocolate fountain coming down, and it is actually chocolate. You can smell it. I don't think they would have appreciated me jumping over and tasting it, but it was something right out of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because it was a chocolate fountain. I got a picture with the kids and myself and in front of it, just because it was amazing. Went on the tour. They have ample opportunity for you to eat as much chocolate as you want, which we enjoyed. And I needed diabetic shots afterwards because I ate so much chocolate. And then at the end, they have a store. I mean, the chocolate candy getting fresher. But then as you walk your way through, before the store, they have this little vending machine type thing where you scan your ticket and this little ball comes down and you get just a little square of chocolate at the end. And it depends on which way the ball goes. And they have a couple of those. So my kids were enjoying that too. So
Goes through a series of mazes
it
back and
does.
forth. I saw your Snapchat or your Instagram. It was just really fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was really cool. I mean, I was in awe because I've never been there. Right. So we did that. Every day we just did one thing. We actually went to Lytle. We ate dinner in because the hotel we were staying at offered a community kitchen. It was almost like a hostel, but with private rooms. We had our own private bathrooms and everything, but I think it could be used as a hostel as well. So we had a community kitchen that we did eat in just because of the sheer cost. It cost to eat in Zurich. The
Yes.
exchange rate at the time was, a single dollar was about a 1.56 Swiss francs. I mean, our first night's dinner was $180 for a couple for essentially 6 people to eat. So
Wow.
yeah, but it was worth it. Amazing food, but it was still
Yeah.
the exchange rate kind of got us there. But it was okay. We enjoyed it.
Was there a bunch of 20-year-old kids walking around and then you and your family?
A little bit of both. Yeah, we had some, and there were some
Okay.
older people there that were also, you could tell they kind of were transient through probably different hotels, different cities, just enjoying their retirement as well. So it was really eclectic and unique. And I was like, I'd stay there again for sure. So then the last day that we were in Zurich, before we drove home the day after that, we did a Get Your Guide bus tour, and we took a tour from Zurich to Lucerne. And Lucerne is an amazing city, a lot of history. We got a tour of the city. It was raining a little bit, unfortunately. So we definitely had, couldn't fully enjoy it because it was chilly and rainy, but we got to go to some churches. We got to see canals. We got to see how they get the electricity for the city because they have these canals and these hydro plants right in the middle of the city. They have some amazing bridges that were built in the 14th century, and you can walk through them. And as you walk through them, you look above and there's artistic renderings of the history of Zurich and the history of Switzerland. Or the history of Lucerne, and the history of Switzerland. So it was a lot to take in. We did enjoy visiting some restaurants. We we got some more chocolate because why not? So we got coffees. Went to Starbucks and got a Lucerne coffee cup for Darcy. Yeah. So we did all that, and then we hopped back on the bus and we went to a city called Engelberg. Engel is German for angel. It's up in the mountains of the Swiss Alps, and we visited Mount Titulus, and we then took a cable car, a gondola up the mountain. It went from rain when we started to snow when we got off.
Oh.
And we had lunch there. We had fondue in a igloo.
Oh, that's
fun.
right.
So they brought out this amazing cheese, and it was like beer infused cheese, a little piece of the bread, and we went to town on it. We ate all of it, and it was in an igloo, which is really cool. I asked them how they made the igloo, and they said what they do is during the fall, they take a balloon, they blow it up, and then as it snows, they start packing it down and putting ice on it, and they're using water and others, and they make a big igloo, and then they pop the balloon, and they got an igloo.
Wow.
We got about 6 inches of snow while we were there eating, and then
Holy
over a couple hours, and we went snow tubing as well while we were up there. My kids are from the southeast. They've never seen that much snow. We've had little dustings here and there, but they've never seen that much snow. So we let them eat it up. They enjoyed it. We were underdressed. We did not have the right shoes. We're walking down steep slopes trying to get there and try not to fall. But it was a lot of fun to do that. We spent most of the day up there, and then we just took the bus back to Zurich and went home. I went back to the hotel for the night. And then the next day we drove back to Munich. I used my points to be near the airport, and we caught up with some friends that next Saturday. It was our rest day before we flew home, but he took us for a short walk through the English Gardens, which turned out to be about 4 kilometers.
Oh.
Just a short walk. We're like, okay, that's good.
It sounds like
And that's
my
where
mom.
and we don't mind. I don't mind walking. It's just when you have kids in tow.
When you've been
Again,
traveling for that long too, I bet you're tired.
we were tired, and my son never really got adapted to the time, so he was just inherently tired the whole time. He did walk us by in Munich, in the English Gardens, where the surfers will surf on the running water there, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was also the 15th of March, but they were having their St. Patrick's Day festival. So
Cool.
we also enjoyed some green German beer.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd say that.
Perfect.
Yeah. So then we flew home the next day.
Okay. So, as a listener of our show, you heard us advise you to bring gifts for the gate agents and the flight attendants. So you did bring the flight attendants a special gift on your way home.
I did. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was a disappointment. It's okay. It's okay. It's a disappointment.
Yeah, I'm trying to
You
remember.
brought them some of that chocolate.
Oh yeah. I brought them Lint chocolates for the trip home. Again, I do it because I appreciate what they do. That's a lot. You know, I did it on the front end too. Now, the chocolate they got going to Munich is a lot less quality than the chocolate they got coming home from Munich. But still, I always like to give chocolates when I walk in the door or some sort of gift because I do appreciate all that they do because, you know, taking them away from their families and also making sure that I'm safe should the time arise. But yeah, I definitely make sure I provide an avenue of gratitude, if you will, from all of us.
So as a flight attendant, when we get these gifts, we always tell everybody, oh, the guy in 22D gave us this. And we all stop by and say thank you or whatever. And
it's more gratitude for you than it is anything for me. But I mean, I do appreciate it when they do that. But I had a pretty awesome flight attendant on the way home. His name was Flying Brian. And he's former US Air, based in Charlotte. I think he said he's 44 years senior.
Shout out to Flying Brian.
Ooh. Yeah, so I really enjoyed talking with him. And, you know, there was a little drama on the flight home. And him and I just cut it up a little bit about what was going on. He kind of filled me in on what was going on. And we were just gossiping the whole time. So it was a lot of fun. It just shows, you know, get to know your flight attendants because you may find some juicy gossip as you're on your flight home or to wherever you're going.
I love gossip.
We did some gossiping this morning, Monique and I.
We did.
Yeah.
So you talked about going off peak because you went in March, and I'm sure that all of Europe in the summer is peak, but you got a cheaper car. Do you remember when we went to Anchorage for your birthday? So it was October, so it definitely was not peak. I think we got a car for $12 a day.
Yeah.
But in the summer, you're looking at 150 plus a day for a rental car. So I think that's a good tip to do. But just because it's off peak, I remember the day you flew, I pulled up to see how many seats are there. Like I was thinking, it's early March, like can't be that full. But your flight was full on that Thursday.
Yeah, it was packed. And some of that is because Munich is having rolling strikes right now. There's some labor strike issues in Munich. So the week before I was supposed to fly there, the Thursday before, I fly Thursday, the Thursday before, there was a strike, and there was a 2-day strike. So no one flew out Thursday or Friday from Charlotte to Munich, which I sigh of relief that it wasn't the week I was supposed to fly there.
Yeah.
That would have hampered a lot of things. But they had to move all those people around, and then they had another strike on the Monday that we were there. So we got lucky again that they didn't try to strike on my way home. But yeah, I mean, again, they're just trying to work through some of the labor contracts there, and it's just these rolling strikes, which is causing it, from what I was told, is causing some funneling of passengers that should have already been there now trying to get there.
Okay, but you just going off peak, going when it's not the busiest time, you're gonna get better deals. That's what I always say. Anchorage, I know this is different, simpler deal, but if you go like before Memorial Day or after Labor Day, prices is still good weather, but you're not going to have those peak prices. So that's good. So you said already you were in Europe last summer. You tested it out with your wife. I think it's a good idea to go beforehand and make sure that you enjoy it. How was the weather in March compared to in August? Because August's peak but I know you were bundled up just like I was same time in Korea because it wasn't summer. But you were. I mean, you went up into the igloo, so you definitely went to some cool places, but was it pretty chilly in Europe that time of year?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be in the 40s and 50s Fahrenheit. And when we got there, like I said, the first 4 days we were in Munich, it was in the 60s. I even may have gotten up to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And we were wearing nothing but long sleeves and thermals and all that stuff. So we were way overdressed. But when we went to the Neuschwanstein Castle on that Monday, before we drove to Switzerland, the weather started to shift back to normal. It was in the 30s, 40s, and low 50s in some cases. And when we got into Switzerland, it was just in the 40s. So it was pretty chilly. Again, my kids are from the south. We do get some cold weather here, but we were feeling it in our bones. Even me, I'm originally from the Northeast, and I think my blood's thinned out moving here, about 20 years ago. So even I was a little bit chilly during that weather. But for the most part, we expected it. My kids are big ice skaters. They were hoping we could skate on a lake while we were there, but it just actually was too warm, so we couldn't go skate on the lake.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a bucket list thing for them. So we're going to have to go to Canada maybe next year or something and try to figure that out.
Another thing is, you said it takes a day and a half to cross Texas when he can do it in 4 hours.
Oh,
In a
really?
plane? Or what
No, how fast you drive.
Oh, shut up.
I heard about her trip from San Francisco back to either Salt Lake or Phoenix. I forget which one it was. I heard it was quite speedy.
I didn't even drive that one. I just sat in the back.
Oh,
No, it's a lot of cool stuff. I guess I haven't researched Munich too much, and I've been to Switzerland, but to Geneva, so those sound fun. Before you went to the concentration camp, did you do anything to kind of teach your kids about it? Maybe it's something I already know from school. Your kids are older than mine. I'm trying to find a good time when I can take my kids when they can. No, they're never going to fully appreciate it, but hopefully as they get older. But as kids, when it'll be good. So, how did your kids take that?
yeah. So my older teenagers, they did learn some of it in school. We talked about it a little bit. My 10-year-old also was part of those discussions. My 6-year-old, he didn't know what he was doing there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, which is okay. I mean, he's still innocent and young. We can talk about it later, right? So, but we still kind of talked about it. I've already been there a couple times, so we wanted to make sure that I kind of knew what to expect, so I could prepare them for it, and what you're going to see and some of the stories you're going to read. And I think it helped them a lot to understand it and also appreciate what they're reading. Not a lot. I mean, maybe less shock value and more understanding.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I always advocate when you do something like that to plan something fun afterwards. So you don't carry that with you the whole time. Day.
Which is what we did. No, I took them for ice
Yeah,
cream. They wanted to visit German McDonald's, which is so touristy, but we did it. So they got to understand how McDonald's is definitely different in a different country.
So Michael sent me his itinerary before we left. And when I was reading through, I read that you did something fun. And I commented on that to you. I said, good for you.
Yeah, I mean, again, they need to go and visit, but I don't want it to drag the whole trip down. So let's go ahead and kind of knock that out. It made sense, like timing wise, because we're trying to get through the day before we can get into our hotel and crash. So we just said, oh, we're only 20 something minutes away. Let's just do it. We'll talk through it and then we'll go and look forward from there.
Awesome. So you have any more questions? I'm going to change the subject a little if we're done.
Well, I wanted him to tell a story about what happened on the plane on the way back.
What is the cheese made? What's the
fight?
gossip?
The gossip,
What's the
right?
tea?
So we were in the air for about an hour out of Munich, and these two gentlemen, this one gentleman stands up and starts yelling at another guy, just screaming at him, telling him that he's getting ready to essentially beat him up because he doesn't like the way he's looking at his girl. And for some reason, we're in the middle, right? So it's a 777. So it's a 343-200. So this one guy is sitting here, and there's a woman sitting next to him, and then I guess her husband or boyfriend is sitting behind them in a different row, but within eyesight. So he didn't like the way he was looking at her, talking to her, whatever the case may be. I was trying to definitely listen in on it. And he threatened to beat him up. All I could think about is it's Sunday. I have to be at work at a meeting. I'm flying to Chicago the next day on that Monday. So I was like, we can't be diverted, because if this escalates, they're going to divert us to Heathrow, or they're going to divert us to Canada, Dublin, maybe Dublin, right? Depending on what's going on. We don't need that. So these fools need to shut it down. So flight attendant came up. He got in the middle of it. Very tactful, settled it down. The one guy that was sitting really don't think he was at fault at all, based on what I could see as an innocent bystander. Put his earphones on, kind of put a sleep mask on, and shut it down after that. He did stand up and kind of walk to the back, to walk, kind of walk a little bit. But the other guy was just mad. I mean, the whole time, head was just red the whole time, and he's staring at them. And all I could think about is, dude, we got 8 hours ahead of us, and you're just going to sit here and be mad for 8 straight hours. He looked like he was getting ready to pop. So talked to the flight attendant, and come to find out, the one gentleman was allegedly a retired special forces, and was apparently he got a Sprite can or a Coke can. He crushed it up, broke it open and it was making like a shiv out of the can in case it escalated.
Yep.
All I could think. So I was like, holy smokes, please, sir, don't ruin my opportunity to actually have cans on the plane. I'm going to be selfish here for a second. I don't mind the pour, but all I could think about is our poor flight attendants having to pour every single Diet Coke instead of giving you the can, right? So nonetheless, I mean, that could have been serious. The flight attendant was awesome. He settled it down. It didn't escalate anymore. They got off the plane together, not together, but right around the same time. And it didn't escalate at the airport because we were all going through passport control and had to go get our bags and go through the dogs that sniffed, make sure you didn't have anything.
Customs and immigration.
Yeah, in Charlotte. So, but I mean, still, that could have been serious. He was essentially making a weapon with the Coke can that he had.
It's crazy.
Which maybe, even though it's allegedly, made me think maybe he could be special forces because that's very resourceful. I don't think I would have ever thought to do that. So
That's MacGyver stuff right there.
it sure
Yeah.
is. So
Or
anyway,
you spent time in prison.
or that, and I didn't want to know either way. All I wanted to do was eat my food and watch my TV.
Laura, is that when
But
you
the
guys
thing is-
crush up some of your guys' Xanax and you put it in certain passengers' meals?
Yeah, exactly. No, we used like
A whole
Benadryl.
rose just out. If they did away with cans though, because I always ask for the can, I could just ask for the 2-liter of apple juice. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'll just take the whole bottle of water.
Here's your bottle.
Yeah, when I flew to Chicago, I gave some.
The very
some-
next morning.
The next day, I had to fly to Chicago for work, and I gave the flight attendants the gift. They did give me a full bottle of water when I walked by, so I thought that was really cool.
Domestic flight
You had
attendants but win.
Vacation from your vacation.
I did. I mean, I flew into O'Hare, so that's hair raising as it is, and then the hotel that we thought would be nice wasn't very nice, so I couldn't wait to get home that next day.
Oof.
You
Well,
were
cool,
gonna-
cool. It's fun to watch your trips. One more thing I wanted to bring up when we're together, because you spent some points on some of your rooms, right?
I did.
And that's something that Lara, you just got approved for a credit card.
I did.
Do you want to talk about it, or is that personal?
No, we can talk about it.
So we're not getting any benefit from this. But I think that I've talked about Chase and with Hyatt. If you haven't, this is for people that haven't started at all. They want to just kind of dip their feet in.
Like me.
But they have an offer right now that I think is really good. I think it's one of the best ones for $95. That's the lower Sapphire card because they have the preferred and the reserve. With the reserve, you get the priority pass, and it's costs a lot more money, but you get a few things. But this one is 100,000 points for $95. And with Hyatt, if you transfer to Hyatt, you can get, depending on what kind of room you get, but I think I averaged most of my nights are between 8 to 10,000 points a night. So you're looking at 10 nights, 11 nights
For $95.
that are covered
Wow.
for $95. So Lara put in for it. So that's going to cover your CQ for a couple of years
My CQ.
if you want to spend it
Yeah.
on there.
Because I did decide before we did this, I decided that I like the Hyatt. For me, where I go and where I visit, the Hyatt is the better choice for me. And then Tyler referred me. So
So I get a bit better from you. Thank you. But I'm not. If people are interested, I would check it out. I know it's everywhere.
you
People
should
are
ask for
all
the
over.
referral because I mean that helps. It helps everybody.
It does. So if you don't have anyone else, you can ask me or message me, and I'll tell you what my thoughts about the card. If you're someone that wants to do that, get some free nights hotels to go along with your travels, it can be a good thing. So
And I took a page out of your book because we ate at the Hyatt last year during Spot LAX, and I'm staying there this year for Spot LAX. I like the hotel, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay here. And I used some of my points to actually stay there.
I'm going to be staying there
nice.
this year
yeah,
Nice.
for Dorfest.
It's within walking
Yeah,
distance. It
that's-
just makes a lot of sense.
it's a nice little place there. So if you're interested, look it up. The preferred. It is a good offer now, but whatever's best for you, if it's something you're interested in. So all right, we're at an hour, so I say
Should
we
say
wrap
that
it up.
Momo and I are staying there. You're staying with me this year.
Yeah.
You guys are going this year because you guys didn't last year.
Well, I have to be fair. As long Allie Jo has her heart set on Nashville for her birthday, and that's usually right around.
Oh,
the
that's
same time.
right. Okay.
So as long as I'm not in Nashville, then I'm there.
Perfect.
And Lara, last year you had your hemorrhoids flare up, so you weren't able to go for that.
Didn't
Or was it
know
a-
why?
Was it a wedding thing? Well, I don't remember why.
It was a wedding thing.
Oh, that's right.
Because the year before I spent $700 on the hotel. And I'm like, I can't do that again.
Oh, girl.
And H is expensive.
And I didn't pay anything. Sorry.
That's hard. No, I didn't ask you to. But remember, I got that great room right next to the doorway to go out to the event.
That's right.
That was a great room, but I didn't want to pay that again.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Michael. Thanks for your support.
Thank you.
And all the nice comments and everything you do for us. So are we going to see, when was the next one to see you? In LA?
Probably LA. I'll be flying in that Thursday before the event, and I fly out Sunday morning to go to Denver for work. So I'll be there for a short amount of time.
That's right.
Dave and I
you were on top of each other, but then you got moved, so you're able to go for the whole time.
Wait, you better back up and repeat that because it sounded
Yeah, who was on top of who?
Exactly.
No,
We're
yeah,
not mad. We just want details.
I'm going to a conference for work, and it was going to be the same weekend, but then it actually starts on that Sunday after Spot LAX, so I was able to go early, stay through Saturday, and then I'm flying out at like 5 a.m. LA time to go to Denver for my conference. So it's gonna be perfect.
And at the same time, I was trying to say that Dave and I we look at Charlotte overnights on Saturday nights, so we can meet Darcy and Michael for dinner.
That'd be great. I got a great place.
Yeah, I want to go to that place.
Yes.
Well, cool. All right. Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you. If you want to get a hold of us, you can find us at the Non-Rev Lounge podcast at gmail.com. And stay safe.
Bye.
Okay.
This has been Non-Rev Lounge. This episode was sponsored by Staff Traveler, which is the #1 app to get your non-rev loads. It is used by over 800,000 people from all airlines the world over and built to make your non-rev trips easy and stress-free. Sign up now for free at stafftraveler.com/non-rev lounge.
Monique, your lips were moving and I saw your teeth. But then all of a sudden there was no sound. And then all of a sudden, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, like that.
Is that better?
Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you stayed in your office a little bit longer for us.